good?
We're good.
We're rolling. Welcome. I guess I'm host. First of all, welcome everybody to the revitalized, the reborn, the redux, the rebooted TSAC. It's been 7 years, I think, since we started this. I think
Maybe eight.
maybe eight, somewhere around late 2016.
We started like in late summer 2016. I think that's when we started doing these and just kind of carried on throughout 2017 and some of 18.
So it's almost eight, yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
joined, of course, by Adam from Roller Coaster.
Hello.
I'm joined by Justin from That Intamin Guy.
That's me.
And of course, I'm joined by Bradley.
Hey everyone.
So I think, you've answered this question to me, but Bradley, I think the viewers at home, the few people that remember this, by the way, because I don't know who's going to see this if anybody remembers the TSAC days. That's a long time. People are wondering, how is your credit journey going?
I hit the golden coaster and then hit 1500 just a few days ago. No end in sight.
You're 1500?
Taiga.
We got to talk about that because someone told me, a little bird, I think it was Adam. Were you the one that told me where he ranks Taiga?
3?
Something like
That's
that.
correct.
God damn.
So what made this ride so good? Because I've seen some videos, but why is because you're such a critical person and for you to call a ride number 3 right away?
I mean, I did ride it like 50 times, so it took, it did, it grew on me as the day went on, but it's that perfect mixture of airtime, laterals, good positives, good negatives. Like, the ride throws a little bit of everything at you, but it does everything well. I mean, I guess you can always nitpick. It does need a large, ejector hill somewhere, but, I mean, that's the nitpick. Everything else is incredible, and then the setting's absolutely fantastic.
So Zadra number 1, is that still a thing?
That is still a thing.
That's
And then
crazy.
number 2 is Expedition G-Force?
Yep.
Oh,
Love
look
it.
at me. Oh, I know the Brad list. Expedition G-Force is my number 2 as well. I do love Expedition G-Force.
Damn, I'm the only one in here who hasn't ridden that. God. Fuck.
Is that your
It's
number 1,
my,
Justin?
It is my one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Expedition G-Force is awesome. There's something special about that ride. Just like if you, like Adam, you probably have this feeling, like, growing up, hearing about how good this ride is.
Right.
And then finally getting to ride it. And that drop in the back row is just beautiful.
It just feels like classic Intamin, like everything good about
It's
2000
never
Intamin.
gonna be replicated, which
No.
is kind of like the greatest crime, like with the modernization of elements and honestly, unfortunately, everyone copying RMC's influence. We're missing out on rides like that will just never happen again, and hopefully people can respect that and cherish those rides that exist from a bygone era.
True.
It is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
It's not like too unique in a way. It just does the good things that we love well.
Sometimes that's all you need, though.
It was-
You
Yeah,
don't
no, I
need to
know.
be unique. You don't need to be creative. If you have your trick and you do it better than anyone else, it's almost like an athlete. It's like if your only move is to shoot a 3-pointer, but you're the best to ever do it, does it matter that you can't dunk, you can't pass well, but you can shoot the 3? You're good.
True.
Mhm.
True.
But I guess that's surprising why there's nothing that's as good as Expedition G-Force. And you'd think that winning model, you'd see more of it almost,
Yeah.
Right. It was interesting. Bradley talked about Taiga not having like just a normal ejector hill or like a normal big ass hill. I feel like a lot of new rides nowadays just kind of like forget that and they only do these crazy twists and lateral things, which are great. It's always good, but like there's never just a simple.
Airtime's never as good when you mix laterals or anything else in. Like a straight hill is always going to be the best ejector.
I mean, like I like laterals and I like lateral airtime, but sometimes straight hill.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Yeah.
Bring
Expedition G-Force.
back those straight hills.
It's the same reason why I much prefer EGF to something like Conda, which I rode that last year, by the way.
Oh, true.
So, yeah.
How is Conda?
Yeah.
How does that rank in the Intamin world then?
That's me personally. It's just sitting outside my top 10 overall. I really like it a lot, but I definitely do think I spoiled myself a little bit, not just with EGF, but I also rode DC Rivals last year too.
Ooh, man,
So
all
that's
these
really
megas,
good.
man.
DC Rivals. That's a ride that looks awesome. Where does that rank for you, Justin?
That's at 4 for me right now.
And you did the backwards?
Yeah, I did that 3 times.
Mm.
Really, really good.
There you
Again,
go.
I've been to that park. That's the thing, but I've been on like nothing because I was young. I always did a
Oh,
trip
right.
to Australia,
Damn.
and I didn't know anything about roller coasters much. And I just rode like all the kind of family rides. because the lines are just super long. I just didn't really have the field to wait for Superman. But yeah, there was no DC Rivals, and so I'm really sad about that because I remember the DC Rivals. I think when I was making these was my number one bucket list coaster period for a while
Yeah.
there.
I think it was post TSAC, but I mean that's why that was the main priority in 2019 instead of Asia. Fly all the way down for one coaster.
And it sounds like it was worth it for you too.
It was worth it for sure.
Oh yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, no. Trying to think of any other coasters that have opened since we've done this. What else has been? I mean, I was thinking Hyperion, but no, that was during TSAC. But I wrote that. That was kind of whatever over Hyperion.
I wrote that before Zadra.
We both read
Didn't weren't you there for Zadra? Wait. Or
I was there before Zadra because
Okay.
I was there. Zadra was built. Zadra was like it was sitting there. I think I bought a shirt from there. I might have had like a
Missed
Zadra
it by like a few weeks or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was-
right?
Yeah, no, it was mid-July and it opened in August. So yeah.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
Such a weird
Yeah.
park because they just have so much. It's kind of crazy.
The one example in the coaster world where the more crap you have, the better the coaster lineup became, because it's
Yeah.
made the quality rides have short lines, and at the end of the day, depth doesn't matter with coaster lineups. Like you travel to ride the elite quality, that top two, a very very strong argument. It's the best top two in the world, and that's what you're
Oh, yeah.
traveling for. Who cares if the
ride that?
third best ride?
Abyssus. Did you write that?
It's okay.
It's good, but it's nowhere near the other two.
I
It's
remember
all
when that
free.
came out. Like I was so hyped for that. Like that
I
was.
think
my,
everyone was.
Fred,
but-
you think that Hyperion and
Honestly-
Zadra are the best top two in the world?
It's up there, like
I don't think Hyperion's up there.
No,
for me.
I mean it's my number 4. I only have 200 credits.
I think I had it like 40 or something when I was.
I have so. I mean, I think there's three, like, top twos that are kind of head and shoulders above the rest. You got Energylandia was so Zadra 1, and I think Hyperion's 18. Ferrari World, Formula Rosa's what, like 8, and Flying Aces like 17.
That's pretty good.
And then Phantasialand, Tehran is like 9, and oh yeah, I know. And God, what would that make Fly? Fly's like 14.
Fly looks awesome.
I-
From the little we've seen.
I still have no idea what Fly even is. Like
No one does.
apparently it's really good
They
though.
won't, they won't allow a POV to be released.
Seriously?
yeah.
Yeah,
It looks crazy.
That's cool, but yeah, no, Tehran there, whatever you want to call it. It's funny because I went back. I think I said this to you guys, and I think like I liked it more from like a personal standpoint, but I think I liked it less as a roller coaster the year that I went back. If that
you
makes
have to
sense.
go. I was always like, I think because of what you said is why I liked it in 18, and then I was kind of just like. The 21 trip that Justin and I did was just like all the hoops we had to jump through to do a European road trip when no one thought it was possible in COVID. Like, it was just pure euphoria to be riding anything then.
Yeah.
That sure wasn't epic.
But then I went back last December and got those hyped up winter trom rides. And that's like, no, I'm not overrating it because, like, the ride is something else when it at night and they run in boost mode, all the lights, but then also the night rides.
Yeah. Is Fly kind of like the Toronto effect, where like it might not look that great on paper, or like the element, like, it has a lot of elements, but like just the theming and everything around it. Okay.
Well, we don't know what it looks like on paper.
Yeah, I really don't know what it looks like.
It doesn't exist. It's the one ride that doesn't exist on paper.
Yeah,
Like, there's just no.
It's only an experience. It might as well be like a dark ride. Like
I just call it a flying Tehran.
I mean, it pretty
It's
much
funny.
is that.
Yeah.
They didn't even like. They just took their time building it too. That's like some of those European parks. Like they're like, when it's built, it's built.
Yeah.
That's
Open
fair
it when
enough.
we're ready.
I think Phantasialand's issue for me is that it's just so small, and like
It
I
is.
like small parks, but just like when there's a lot of people there and it's got so much, like it's overwhelming with the amount that's there in terms of the theming and everything. But it's also small. It's
Yeah.
like, it's a weird dichotomy there.
Like,
It's
you
very
can-
condensed.
You can go from Crazy Bats to
Ugh.
what is it? Oh God, is it Mystery Castle or whatever? The Drop Tower. If you know what you're doing on that walk, it's like a 6-minute walk, and that's like
That's
corner
it.
to corner of the park.
That's a really good drop tower, by the way.
Hmm.
I love Mystery
No,
Castle.
that drop tower's weird.
I mean, what's not weird at that park though?
No, but that drop tower's like I don't get. Like it's cool, but I never got the logic behind why they did it the way it was.
Because well, they had to build it inside because they can't obstruct the views. Like
Yeah.
the local residents of that area complain a lot.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is crazy how nice that park is from the inside. I think the second time I went there was a lot better because I was with Yannick, and Yannick's just a real cool dude. I barely talk to him anymore, but not out of anything, just out of the same thing I haven't talked to you guys much. I feel like we've moved on, but we do miss these days. I mean, for me, I think each of you guys definitely have roller coasters in your lives more than I do now. Even Adam.
Yeah.
I mean, you still use RCDB probably.
Rarely, yeah. Only for like, I mean, I use coaster count for trip planning, really, for like what park.
Hard man.
I get like, I don't know, I might get like 50 credits this year, which would be a record. So woohoo!
Yeah, I think 2022 was kind of like my last. I thought that was going to be my last coaster trip because it wasn't even a coaster trip. It was just kind of going to a bunch of parks that had added new things since I was there, and my family wanted to see the East Coast, like Eastern Canada. They went down to Boston and all that, but so we went to those parks there. But I was like, yeah, this is it for me. But there's a part of me that since that's almost 2 years ago now, there's like a part of me that misses going to these parks. Like I miss the lifestyle. It's a lot. I think when you're in COVID, I think you guys might have had this, or you're in the pandemic, and then you come out, and there's just people everywhere, and it's like, it's not even out of fear of the virus. It's out of fear of, oh my gosh, it's almost claustrophobic. How many people are at Hershey Park, for example?
I think the situation, and it put me in a really bad situation. I know I discussed this with you. The U.S. parks have really struggled to recover from COVID. Like, it's really bad. And the last 2 years, the main focus, not that it's what I wanted to do, it's just how it happened, was U.S. trips. And it's just like, I think we all can accept inflation's happened, costs have gone up. Fine. So, a park in 2019 was $50. It's $70 now. Fine. That makes sense with inflation. But then why have ops gone worse? Why has maintenance gone worse? Why is the food more expensive and worse? Why has parking gone up? Why is everything more? But so much more than other, parts of life. If you were to just go to the grocery store and let's just say you're going to go grab a gallon of milk and a bag of cookies. That only went up X%. This stuff went up more. But at least that bag of cookies, that bag of cookies and that gallon of milk, it still tastes the same. Like, I'm still going to get that quality experience.
No, it's a fair point.
Cookies.
And then we turned around and these parks, it's just a worse experience. And like, I can remember like ranting to you, when we were in agreement at that time that it's just, things have gotten worse, and it's like you lose the love for the hobby because the experiences are what you're traveling for, and if you're not getting those experiences, there's other things you could be doing with your life. There's better things you could be doing with your money if you're not enjoying it anymore.
Well, so when I went to Cedar Point, that's kind of what brought about this conversation. Because I was excited. I had a lot of nostalgia for Cedar Point. It's kind of where the journey started for me.
I think it started for all of us.
Yeah.
Oh,
totally same.
It was the next step for us. I mean, Adam, especially you, because
2 hours away.
That far from Cedar Point. But like I went back to Cedar Point, and the fact that I was there for like 2.5 days ish, like I had like a 3-day type pass, right? And Maverick just never opened during that time, which is just brutal. And then I ended up getting the Fastlane Plus, right? I ended up spending the money on that because even though it's way expensive, because I just coming out of the pandemic, I don't have patience for that. So that was the one time I used that, and all of the rides broke down. Like that's not like an exaggeration. Like, so we went to the desk, and they're basically like, originally they're like kind of like, screw you, you should know, not like that, but like you should know what you're getting. But there was this one guy, he had like a big beard, and he was working the desk, and he saw the list of the rides that were down, and he's like, okay, yeah, we refund. we're gonna get you people refunded because it was just ridiculous. Like nothing was working. I remember though the last morning. This was, thinking about germs is kind of gross. My last morning, I was on Millennium Force. I kissed the lap bar. It was like a goodbye. I was like, this is where it started. I'm kissing the red train because that was my favorite train's lap bar, and that was it for me. I thought that was the end of coasters for me, and
I feel like you've got to give like a good, European road trip, another shot, or, especially if it goes smooth for Justin and I next month, you've got, because you were supposed to do Japan in
I know
2020, right? And then it just happened.
Yeah.
I feel it's one of those trips where it's the all new experiences. Even if you do it half coasters and you're like, hey, I just want to explore this new culture. That experience is going to be worth it. Where it's the repeat of the same stuff right now, but it's not as good as you remember, and it's not even none of us are old enough to be like we're just reminiscing on what it was like. Our parents would be reminiscing on what life was like in the 80s and 90s. But like that's not us. None of us can really reminisce. 10 years ago is not reminiscing yet.
No. That's crazy. That's almost been so. Yeah, it'll be 10 years next year since I first went to Cedar Point, and that'll be 10 years this year since I first went to Magic Mountain, which is crazy to me. And that was kind of helped kickstart. I remember loving Full Throttle. Like in my first, I remember I made a YouTube video before Canada Coaster Fan of my top 10 coasters, and Full Throttle was number one.
Let's go.
Oh God.
And I had the demon at Six Flags Great America from when I rode it when I was a little kid. It was like high up there.
Is that all the way back when like Leviathan was the profile picture?
Oh yeah. I mean,
no. This was before
even before that.
No, yeah, way before that. Because I remember one of my first when the name Canada Coaster Fan. So I came up with the name. I was on the observation deck at LeBron. I don't know why I went on that, and I took a bunch of pictures of the rides from below, and it was like the glass was really foggy because of course it was. But when I was how old was I? I don't know. I was
13.
13. I was 13. I thought that was a cool effect. But nowadays, I'm like, clean your glass. So it was kind of like a blurry picture of Goliath at Laurent. It's funny enough because I a club at my university actually had a go to Laurent day, but I didn't do it. I think it was the African Students Association, so I'm not going to go and be hey guys, I'm here for Laurent. But I don't know. I've seen Laurent in the past year. I've physically seen it from afar. I've been to Montreal a few times in the past couple of years.
Yeah, I've driven past it. I don't really have that much desire to go, but
plus 10 or plus 9 or something like that.
They closed 3 rides, but
this past September, I basically had the option to go, and I said no. I was like,
I mean, is it still as bad as it was 6 years ago?
I don't know if I'd say it's bad. I just don't really have a lot of incentive to go to it's just a decent if this was I know you hate lake compounds, right, Brad?
Yeah.
But I'm going to use lake compounds as an example because I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum. I actually had a great time at lake compounds, and I loved everything about it, believe it or not. But for me, I would take that kind of day because there was nobody there, and it was just a quiet, in the trees, shaded in a little bit. I don't know. I liked Boulder Dash.
That's
believe
awesome.
It or not.
I love the independent park vibes. Even though Waldameer isn't independent, or no, Waldameer is. Lake Commonwealth isn't. I love doing Indiana Beach
whatever.
Is awesome. I might go back to Indiana Beach this year. I've already gone a few times back, and it's awesome. Even though there's some shady stuff happening there, but I don't know if you guys saw the video of the triple loop that rolled back through the station, and that was intentional or something. I don't know, crazy stuff.
Yeah, and then speaking of rollbacks, top rollbacks are too.
Oh god.
The rollback, the attack.
Yeah, everybody's getting that long soft rollback finally.
I look at that ride, Justin, as a baseball fan. That ride to me, Top of the Dragster 2 is the Hunter Green of roller coasters.
Yeah.
It goes fast, but that's about it.
Do you think it's better than the original? That it will be?
No.
I mean, we haven't ridden it.
No. I haven't ridden it.
I mean, obviously the launch. People have already talked about this so many times, I'm sure, but I feel like it could be better than the original.
I think it looks really stupid, and
I mean, just think about the airtime you get on the on the swings, you know? Like, woohoo!
Or
That-
no, you're kind of like the whole point of like Dragster was like the initial launch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's
That,
just
that's
like
that's the thing. That's the only thing we're missing. Everything else is there.
we're just basically Avatar Airbender at this point.
Kind of. I mean, well, it's probably the only coaster you can go 100-mile-an-hour backwards, though, right? Kind of
I
cool.
mean, it's kind of the thing. If you're going fast
I guess-
but not doing anything with it, like,
Yeah.
what's the point? You have
Yeah,
to do
no.
something.
There is airtime over the top hat now. Sometimes, apparently, I don't know. Anyway,
Well, you saw like things flying out of the.
Well, yeah, back in its testing phase, it would just send that like just full tilt.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of things that have come up in coasters the last 5 years we haven't talked about.
I mean, 6 Flags Qiddiya.
Oh God, that's a whole can of worms.
That's where we're gonna have the TSAC reunion meetup.
No,
We can all get
God.
back and flight together. That has to
The
be
fact
it.
that it's real, like I think some people refuse to believe it.
Yeah, some people just like ignore it, but I mean, you gotta recognize like somebody built it. It's there, and
I know.
you know.
It's just like 'cause that was kind of the end of like the OG CCF was right around the time that got announced. Because I remember I had that page on Instagram, Orion's 8 Hills. And I remember, because I remember everyone was complaining there's only 8 hills on Orion. I had that meme page, and I remember someone suggested a meme to me. And I made it was like Elmo like snorting cocaine. It was that meme, and it's like the developers of Falcon's Flight. So that was kind of like right when I was. So yeah, that account, Orion's 8 Hills. I was running that not as an enthusiast, just as like my one connection to the community. Yeah.
That was kind of my connection too for a while. I'm not even gonna lie. But that was good.
Yeah, but
It's crazy how similar that the original like crazy POV we got is to what we're getting. I think like obviously like it wasn't like a good like animation, but the layout's pretty accurate. I don't know.
It's almost the one thing to think about, but it makes sense it would take this long to figure it out. Is like that ride's gonna open. Let's just go with the idea it opens sometime early next year. It's a 2025 ride. It has the design language of like a 2018 or 19 Intamin though, but it's just at the insane scale. Like, can we just imagine if they decided like we know where this is happening, but they redid the layout like this year to have like 2024 influence to it?
Like,
yeah.
do you think it'll be more like Hyperion then?
No, but Hyperion, it's like following that design language. Like,
Yeah.
look at like what's happened post Hyperion.
I'm trying to think what even happened post Hyperion right now, intimate wise. Is Conda like newer gen?
I'd say Conda's
Yeah.
newer gen than Hyperion for sure.
What else
Like,
even is
it's,
there?
Like,
Yeah,
Probably crap.
like look at
Condo's
the
21.
the jump from I guess even like Pantheon to Tutatis relative to then like Tehran, like the difference
Yeah.
between Tehran and Taiga. Like there is a tweak in how Intamin's designed that who knows what that. I mean, it might be worse to be honest, but I feel like some of the banking would be a little more extreme. Like
Oh.
I feel that up top when you're on top of the cliff, like you're kind of like you're only banked at like 45 degrees outwards. Like if they like banked that like fully 90 and kept
Right.
you sideways.
I'm looking.
Stuff
I'm
like-
reminding myself. There's Batman at Park Warner, Tutatis
Yeah.
at Park Asterix, and Pantheon. I would say like the three newest gen large scale Intamins, right? Or the big
Yeah.
And
whatever.
there's still no polar coaster.
No.
but it's interesting. Bradley, it's interesting you mentioned like Pantheon's jump to Tutati when actually Tutati was announced first compared to the other because Pantheon was announced in 19, I believe.
I guess like I don't know, but I think like compared to the first like that POV from IAPA, like Tutatis like went through like modifications. It felt like
They
that
likely did.
the layout's not the same. Where like what we got from Pantheon is what we got.
Yeah.
Like, it might have been announced later, but I feel whether we'll ever get that info. Like Pantheon might have been a confirmed like order from Busch Gardens earlier. They just announced it later because I mean European parks tend to announce their rides more in advance than American parks do. So not to factor in all.
They
of it.
just take their time. They don't really. They're not all about the dramatic release date that like never comes.
They're just like, guys, it's in our our plans. Here's our 5-year plan.
It'll
If you come
happen.
the next 3 years, great. If not, year 4 is when the new coaster is.
Hmm.
They can start working on it. And it kind of at least means that, like, those rides should always open on time, but even then, not actually a guarantee.
Yeah.
Man, remember Aquaman at Six Flags Over Texas? How long that took?
Oh God.
And we talk about
And then
all the SeaWorld attractions from COVID that
Iron Gwazi.
did this.
Iron Gwazi.
That's the
Yeah.
biggest one.
You were going like, oh, what's happened the last 5 years? It's like,
Is
we
that-
haven't
by the
talked
way-
about Velocity and Iron Glossy.
Does Iron Gwazi have maintenance issues? Is that a thing? Like, does it break down a
Didn't
lot?
El Toro Ryan did a video on it? There's some like support things I think that they fixed that there were issues present on Steel Vengeance. They fixed for Iron Gwazi. That's what it was. So no, it really doesn't have any.
I had a friend that was there who says it was down all day, but I'm not convinced that he actually he didn't just.
I
check
mean,
it
that
out.
happens sometimes. But
I
like,
went during like Pass Holder preview, and what was that, 2022? I mean, it
was
worked.
like March of 20, because they start doing that in February of 22, and then some in March.
Yeah.
I went in June that year. I didn't have any issues with it. Operations were a problem, but that's another thing.
That's
I miss
SeaWorld
the
for
magic
you.
of like riding a new coaster. Like those times I go to parks and they like just opened, and there's just something special about like the operations crew is always a little fresher and happier than the rest of the park. And the
Right.
stations always seem so nice and shiny and
Like-
clean.
like I rode Steel
Like,
Vengeance in May of 2018,
I
and
know, the Steel Vengeance like first year hype was just
that was
unreal.
crazy. And like I got
No.
stuck on the brake run. They had to
No.
bring out maintenance to like push our train forward because they had all the brake run issues. That I think El Toro Ryan has a good video on that. But
Remember the crash?
yeah,
Yeah,
Crazy.
I remember hearing about that.
the hot sauce, dude.
Yeah, hot
There's
sauce.
so
And then
much lore from
Fish
that
is,
first
like,
year.
The final boss of Cedar Point incident.
Yeah.
Fish is my favorite.
Didn't
Right,
it? Oh yeah.
Fish is my favorite. Don't do that. Don't do that. But the amount of people that I've shown the Fish video to that are like know nothing about coasters, like that's like a
Oh my
icebreaker
God.
topic for me. It's like, have you guys ever seen a fish get thrown at a roller coaster?
Brad, we went to Cedar Point together in 2019, right? And I think Justin was there too.
I
Yeah.
was there too.
Steel Vengeance was down. Like we waited in line for like an hour, and then it crashed on us. I don't know. I think RMCs have gotten better though with reliability, like the recent ones. I don't know. Interesting. I guess one thing I wanted to talk about was something that's newer in the last 5 years is the de-wooding of roller coasters. No wood allowed.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Yeah, I know that's something.
Like GCI like only wants to make hybrids now, and like
With the 208 track and like T Express.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, and like the RMC
Yeah.
moving off of wood. Yeah,
It's a sad.
like there's
I
like
think we kind of
Yeah.
expected that. I think we've had this
I mean, like-
conversation.
like
before.
topper track was already pretty much. I mean, the steel plate on top. I mean, I it's still wood, and you can still get bumps and shit. But like, yeah, I don't
mean,
know.
just look at Lightning Rod now.
Is Lightning Rod like what 80% steel? Like what happened there?
It's like a Franken coaster now between both wood and steel, but on top of the launch being gutted, and that's
Yeah.
just got that fast chain lift now.
It's crazy. That ride's only 8 years old. It's had like 90 bajillion modifications. Like,
That like
It
video
happens.
from years ago, that no limits creation of lightning rod at the chain lift,
and then it happened. Just insane,
and then it happened.
man.
Yeah, it's just
No,
nice that
I
I've been
had-
on lightning rod. Like just the fact has everyone been on it or anybody besides?
I
Brad?
went on it in 19.
So yeah, because Brad and I went on OG like 2016 lightning rod.
Yeah, we rode it like a week apart or something.
Yeah, for me I remember. No, I was in a Target and you were texting me. Like you never texted me on the phone, but you were texting me about lightning rod. Because I was at like Busch Gardens Williamsburg that day, and the rumor was that lightning rod was going to be like ramping back up, and then a couple days later you got to ride it, and you were texting me, and I was at Target. And then
I remember I was down in Florida because we had met up at Busch Gardens, Tampa, and like SeaWorld. And it was like the day to leave, and my family, like, we didn't know what our plan to get home from home to Colorado was gonna be. And I had a friend who was at Dollywood that day, and he's like, no one knows, but like it's reopened. We are like in our car, and we're like, okay, we're gonna stop in Jacksonville for the wacky one, but how quickly can we do the rest of this drive? And then it's pouring rain all day when we get there that night. We're like, man, we just drove like no bathroom breaks, no gas stop, like besides like putting just enough gas to get the car there. Like everyone's like, we're already exhausted and it's like pouring rain. But fortunately, Lightning Rod pretty much had like I guess it's a miracle. It went that following day with like zero issue.
Yeah.
Like I got like
Yeah.
11 laps like the following day, which for how problematic that ride is a lot.
I got 4 laps,
Yep.
just broke down for half the day.
It's crazy that we can be a part of that conversation of like, I rode this ride and it's absolute like prime.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah, no.
in decades, if it's still around, you guys can say that.
Yeah, Lightning Rod's the one that's probably going to be closed. before.
Yeah, right. But like, you
Yeah,
think about
yeah.
like when rides were in their primes from, 70s or wooden coasters or steel coasters decades ago
Yeah.
that have since, been neutered.
Yeah.
There are some that we've been a part of, which is cool. Now that we're older, I guess. So
Yeah, I'm thankful for. I also got to ride that 11 times when I went there in 2019, which is considered by some to be the last true, like, really good year that Lightning Rod had, and that was the
Yeah.
last year that it was fully topper track before they started converting some of it to steel.
Yeah.
I think we kind of covered most of it for today. Like, I don't want to like run like 2 hours.
how long are we at anyway? I can't even see.
Probably at like 40 minutes closing in on it, right?
I only got 31 here.
Yeah.
That's not a podcast length. What are you talking about, Ryan?
Dude,
Well, I don't know. I
It's
don't
gonna
know,
be
like,
that
maybe
hour
like-
and 15 to 2 hour more.
I want to ask a question. Is Voyage still the GOAT? All right.
Voyage is still a goat. Yes.
Out of what?
Wooden, everything.
Everything.
Number 2 wood, number 5
Yeah.
overall.
What's number 1 wood, Brad?
Toro.
Oh,
guy.
okay, yeah. That would make sense. So that doesn't change much, has it?
No. The top 2 in the US have stayed unchanged for
That's kind of wild.
8 years.
Well, I think those rides have been open both since 2006.
Yeah.
So that's kind of wild I mean, if
Because
that,
no one's gonna top them. Like
you don't think
no
so?
park has the balls to build Voyage, and no one's building a prefab. Like
Yeah.
cherish them while you've got them, because what we're gonna get is we're gonna get another Zambezi Zinger, half wood, half steel. Doesn't do anything.
Right.
You might as well not have
That is-
wheels. It just
That is
be
like the
broken.
most ridiculous thing.
That thing is absolutely dreadful.
It's cool they like paid homage, but it was not very well done.
Yeah. The funniest
No.
part, I had to do it as like to piss a few people off, whether it pissed anyone off. More, I guess, flex. Made sure I went to Columbia to go ride original Zambezi Zinger first, and guess what?
One.
It's still better. This
That's
one
a-
top from like the 80s. It's better than the reincarnation for the 2020s. Go figure.
My
Yeah,
dumbass
I
said
thought
page
this went
homage.
from
It's
Voyage
homage.
to Zambezi Zinger. It's like the one time that those two rides are like in the same like realm.
It's crazy.
I was like, some people. I heard from one person that the quote unquote finale of Zinger rivaled the finale of something like Outlaw Run, and then I ride it. I'm like, what?
I don't know about that.
It's great.
What's the incentive for this? And you get, especially given Prowler's right down the walkway from this thing, and that's light years better.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of
I can't
neutered,
believe that they did that, honestly. Like, I'm thinking about that ride, like that they thought that was the key to revitalizing that park.
speaking of neutered, didn't Coaster at Playland get kind of destroyed?
Yeah, I got
No.
But like, I mean,
Horrible.
seatbelts, you can. I mean, come on.
But they're not like, it's not a seatbelt you could attempt to unbuckle. It's one of those rationing ones where every time you get airtime, it gets tighter.
Oh, that sucks.
So, like-
You can't start it really loose or anything. Like you can't just kind of.
So I'll give the little story I had.
Okay.
Get to the park opening, they decide, oh, the only reason people are here is one ride. Now let's just open it 3 hours late.
Oh,
Everyone line cuts at that park.
What year was
It
this?
Just like this, last August.
okay.
2023.
Get on like the third train on coaster, and I was like, but I wasn't like expecting the seatbelt situation, so I didn't like brainstorm for it. Immediately get off, and I'm like, okay, came all this way. There's nothing else I'm gonna even remotely consider doing. I don't care what the line is. I'm just gonna get back in line. I've got an idea of what to do for the seatbelt. I'm literally standing at the quote unquote air gates that aren't air gates, because you can just walk onto the train. And the two trains collide into each other because whoever's operating the ride didn't understand how to hold the brake down. And one of the employees, like checking trains, is like, "Yeah, we're closed for the day." Like,
Oh my
well,
god.
go figure.
I did not hear that story.
Yeah.
Was that like all over the news? Probably.
And I don't know, like, I don't think anyone cared. Like, that was not, like,
No one cared.
I mean, PNA Playland's pretty like whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
you guys
crazy.
know how much I hated Kennywood over the years? Kenny Playland is, if I'm not including Mexico, is the worst park in North America. Like, I
Really?
just can't stand that place. I'm sorry, Ryan. It's awful.
No, it's not good.
Hey, they're building the freaking Senza Fiato is coming over there.
Yeah.
The last time I was there, I was in the parking lot. I was with Paul. You guys know him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he was visiting for the first time. He stayed in my house and everything. But he wanted to ride coaster. That was like a big thing. And we got there and we realized it was shut down for the day. So we just like turned around and got in the vehicle. And yeah,
Man, it's tough.
I need to go back.
Do you though?
I think so. What? Do I need to?
Yeah.
But I think though, I think definitely now that we've done this, I do think we got to do more eventually. But just we can't like promise a schedule, you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, we can't. No.
No, everyone's gonna be away and on trips.
The
But
summer at least, yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Justin and I will have and Gunner. Can't forget the other guys who obviously we wanted to have
Yeah.
show up.
Yeah,
for the
Skylar
two
was a
that
big
weren't
one.
Around. Yeah.
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 We're all adulting right now.
Find a time where at least Justin, Gunner, and myself can show up. We'll give the Asia tour review.
What is your plan for the Asia tour? Are you doing Japan and South Korea?
So Justin's doing all of Japan. Gunner's missing the very beginning of Japan, but is sticking around for a day of Korea for T Express.
Hmm.
And I'm going in like a full psycho, pretty much north to south, Japan, the entirety of Korea, Malaysia, and a day in Singapore.
that's crazy.
How far north are you starting? Like, are you doing Risutsu Resort?
We are doing Hokkaido, Greenland, and Ritsutsu.
Dude, the Dive Blue Boulder Twister. That's crazy.
You guys know me. There was no way that wasn't happening. Like,
Oh yeah, you can't miss out on that. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm excited for you guys, dude.
Been years in the works.
For real, man.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll be able to hear your thoughts after that too, like the trip edition.
Yeah.
See, for me, a big
I'm all
trip is
for
like,
TSAC being back.
yeah.
Yeah,
For me, a big trip is like Wisconsin. Like, oh man.
Wisconsin Dells.
Yeah, like I want to hit up like Six Flags Great America. You
Yeah,
know.
5 parks in one day. You can do like the Wisconsin Dells parks, then you can do Little America, then you can do
Did I
SFN at night. That's what I did.
hit 5
Yeah,
bucks in one
No,
day?
no,
this
you
year?
gotta really push the envelope. Start at Bay Beach, Little America, all Mount Olympus, and then there's that what is it? There's some
There's some kitties.
FEC that opened across the street from like Great America, and then
Yeah.
still get to Great America and get like a Goliath or a Raging.
Is that actually
Night Ride.
possible? I was looking at staying the night at Wisconsin Dells. It's so cheap.
I got 4 in one day, so
I mean, I'm up to my record is 10 in a day with 2 additional parks visited that I made it to their front entrances and got mad at the mad at their operational policies.
what were the parks that you didn't go into?
What was it? The Bollywood Park and what is that? Motion Gate
Mm,
for a UAE Fred Run Day. I have 10 other stops that day though.
Best I got is 4 in one day. Best I could do.
well, it was for me too.
Yeah.
The New England region. Fred Run from. I mean, you wouldn't need to do it now, but Michigan's Adventure to Chicago in the fall when all the plus
Michigan's
ones
Adventure
are
is, like,
available.
they're so small there, so it's a long day.
Yeah.
And my Michigan's Adventure visit was perfect. I spent a solid 15 minutes there. Got the missing credit. Went to the bathroom. Friend I was with got a meal with his dining plan, and we were gone.
Didn't ride Shivering Timbers?
They don't run it for their fall event.
Oh, that's great. Oh,
The
okay.
kids event.
Wow, you went for the fall. That is sicko. That's crazy.
Dude, I need the.
Oh, you've never been on Shivering Timbers?
I went on Shivering Timbers in 2015, and then I haven't been back to the park since.
You missed Little Dipper, which is now Woodstock Express, the
Yeah.
relocated within the park kiddie coaster. I have no interest in going back unless they retract Shivering Timbers. They're just a bad
Shivering
jolt.
Timbers
Well,
is
there's a reason it's called shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like
that's right. #1 coaster in North America that I need a reride, but I'm not the same person when I rode that ride compared to now.
The park is those woodies there are not comfortable.
Okay, Wolverine Wildcat. There's some Titan track on it. It's not.
I hated the OG.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. And Gabby and I rode it in 2019. It was great. We loved it. So I don't know. We also had a ride off. It was high off his ass too. Yeah.
That's why I consider Wolverine Wildcat. If you pretty much ate Phoenix at Knoebels and barfed it out, you get that.
Yeah. There's just a weird notch in the middle of it. It's like, what the hell, man? What else to talk about? What are we at? We're at 40 minutes, Ryan.
Yeah, I feel like I don't want to overwhelm the people at first. You know what I mean?
I feel like that clean hour, or 56 minutes. It's like watching a full hour TV show with 1 commercial break.
That's what I eat.
I gotta go to work in 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's fast.
So the 15 minutes. There we go.
Let's call it an even 10.
11 minutes and 14 seconds. Plus or minus 5.
11 minutes and 14 seconds.
Yeah.
Also, I brought up Coaster because I wanted to bring up the other Buzz Bar Woodies and how they're holding up.
Phoenix was... I didn't really get the hype when I wrote it.
Really?
The last time you wrote it?
2022.
Okay, because it did speed up in 2020, and I don't feel like it slowed back down, but it was Gunner was here, him and I, we wrote it July, or maybe it had switched to August. I think it was still July, July 28th or whatever, last year. He had never been on it. He ranked it 4 or something.
Yeah, that's one of my top bucket lists for sure. And then obviously,
it's still the best U.S. park.
Yeah, the best.
It was so busy when I was there, but the lines weren't long.
Well, their ops are great. The thing with Knoebels, I had Justin. You were there for that visit during 2020, where it was really busy, and we just we just ate and went shopping and played Fascination all day. And that was the visit where I'm Knoebels is my favorite U.S. park. If I can just go to this place and have the best time, and I don't even need to ride the rides. But obviously the rides make the park even better. Because you guys think the old the highly hyped up, obviously besides Disney and Universal. Imagine if the headliner, or even the 2 headliners of a park, and you didn't even ride them, you would be why am I even here? You just want to leave. Knoebels, you can go there and just have a good time.
Yeah, no, Knoebels was interesting for sure. Definitely an interesting experience. It was busy, but they moved through people. It wasn't even there's a lot of people riding. It's just a lot of bodies there.
People just go there to walk around and relax.
Because you can just walk right in Knoebels, right?
Yeah, they have
You can take your
weirdly
dog there, too.
political stuff in their gift shops, which I thought was really kind of funny and funky and weird.
Man.
But it kind of fits in a weird way.
I can't go a day without mentioning Swamp Fox. So,
I thought my back was breaking last time I rode it.
Well, you're too old, Brad. Sorry.
Dude, my back is
Swamp Fox
trash.
is still number 3. Adam is
Oh, you rode it. Didn't you just get one back row ride or some shit?
Dude, I was waiting for is that 3 bench or 2 bench?
2, I want to say.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
2.
I must have been waiting for row 1 or row 3.
No, it's 3. There's a wheel seat. I swear you told me you rode back row. Back row's not where you sit on it.
No, that was in 2017. I went back in 22.
How many rides total do you have on Swamp Fox?
3 now, because dude, I went for that, and then that ride, I was okay, I'll get a wristband of this running good, and I got off the ride in just physical pain, and I'm I'm gonna go get I'm gonna go ride the SBF Visa in this city and go to sleep or something.
I rode it 25 times in 3 hours in 2017, and that was one of the best marathons I've ever done. But I was 16 then, so
I mean, yeah.
who knows?
Probably been taking better care of your body than I have.
You're in your prime, like around like 16, 17.
think
You know,
so?
like it's like people say that there's like that perfect coaster height when you're kind of like 5'7", 5'8", and like none of the restraints really bother you when you're at that height.
I've been 6
Yeah.
foot forever, but yeah.
Some restraints still, but like the worst restraints for me are the best restraints. I hate those so much.
Yeah, I think as a tall person, there's just a lot more weight that comes down on you here. Like,
Best restraints as like B&M ones or just
Yeah.
best restraints period. Okay.
Just the
I think
B&M
mostly
ones, they just
B&Ms.
like they're right in my collarbone there. They
Yeah.
just,
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I ended at the right height for restraints. Just need to get a little better shape and a few minor things, but
ended up we're like talking about like how you ended up
What?
for coaster restraints. I think that's just funny.
dude, I'm happy. Like, ended at like 5'8". Like, restraints fit. Never the fear of like being too tall, but like fit comfortably enough. But
Yeah, like I've met like the players on our basketball team at Michigan State, obviously, and they're just too tall for coasters. Like that's just crazy to think about.
yeah.
no, in Japan they'd be like Steel Dragon, like you'd basically be too tall.
Yeah, there's some like Japanese coasters where there's like, well, what was it? The Togo wooden coaster, the Togo RCCA.
Oh God.
White Canyon, right? They had to put a thing over the top so that you can, because the wood was like right
Was
here.
White Canyon Togo? I thought the Woodies that were Intamin.
It was
like,
RCCA and Togo made the trains or something stupid.
Let me go look this up.
It's a
I
classic.
remember, dude. I remember watching those POV and like the people they had were shaking like so bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Here, I'll put it on the screen. Builder, RCCA, and Togo. White Canyon. Good times. And, yeah, and
I
there's those
forgot about-
trains.
I forgot about
You guys
That
can't
was
see
like-
it,
RCCA and Togo, and then the designer's John Pierce. What else did this guy design?
but it's the worst
Oh
cyclone of all time.
God!
Is it worse than
Original
Cyclone at Magic Mountain?
Rattler and Twister 3. What?
So,
The original rap.
yeah, that guy.
But those are your three rides. We know you were
Rattler might be the worst roller coaster that's like ever.
John Pierce, Rattler, Twister 3, White Canyon. That's. Whew. Hey, I mean, Twister 3 got revamped or some shit this year, right?
Dude, there's
Yeah.
Picture 4 on RCDB has like the stats of this ride. Dude, the fact like a Woody like that point 3.5 G's. No wonder this thing was bad.
God,
That's
dude.
way too intense for a Woody like built in that time.
What a mess. Ugh. Good old RCDB rabbit hole I used to go down. Good times.
Man, you were Mr. Roller Coaster for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still could be. I have a bunch of slides I started and never finished. Bring back the slideshows.
Well, I mean, there's that and bringing back the coaster draft.
Is there actual interest in that? Like,
Dude, there's gotta be at some point. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's been so
Yeah, I mean, I
long,
wanna
like
do
the
it.
new audience.
We got to shrink it down though. We got to simplify it in some way.
I want to do it. It just took like that was like a day commitment. Like the
Yeah.
fact that I look back when I'm gonna be on my deathbed, you think of everything. Like there were full days that I dedicated to that draft. Like not even like
I mean-
I feel like the draft
Because
would
it was
be,
like,
The pandemic one is valid, I think. Like,
the draft would be like 3 hours. Like it's not even that long,
Yeah.
but like because it was such a commitment, like your whole day was shot where you were just thinking,
Yeah.
okay, we're getting close. Like
I can
and
probably.
then if you
Especially
wanted
if
to
you're a
do
moderator.
good, you had to strategize. Like,
yeah.
As an accounting major, I can probably make the sheets a little more intuitive and quicker to use.
yeah.
But I don't know. That's just a thought.
I mean, I feel if you clean up of some of the rules.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Obviously, none of those like $200 and $250 million starting pools. Start honestly, maybe even like 100 and like it's got. I mean, the reason it was always a higher amount was Expedition Everest with its
I think what it should be, I think it should just be like Expedition Everest is like how much is that worth? on there?
123,
That should be like the max.
Yeah. We should start with like 100. Yeah. 123.
and
Exactly.
just make Haggard 123 as well. Then
Yeah, I remember I got stuck with that. I got stuck with Everest one draft because we did the categories. I don't know if you remember this. We did the categories, and one of them was German manufacturers. And I just like had a slip, and I thought, okay, it's European manufacturers, right? and I had first pick, and I just remember I was like Expedition G-Force, and there's just dead silence. And then all of a sudden, there's like dead silence, and all of a sudden, Brad starts making like a half laugh, half what the hell are you doing noise.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, but I think I actually didn't even do that bad in that draft, all things considered.
No.
I'm trying to find my coaster draft sheet. I know it's in here somewhere.
I remember maybe it was the last or second to last, where it was the mod challenges that went on infinitely, and I forgot who else was there, like who was like surviving with me, because like El Toro, Expedition G-Force, and Voyage, something like that, like all didn't get drafted because they couldn't have been drafted.
Yeah.
So it was like the strategy was just buy every $1 million coaster until one of the god tier coasters popped up, because you would have the money and you were guaranteed to get it as soon as the challenge came up.
Yeah.
And it's like, imagine in the draft, like, how it was sought after a coaster like this, and it's like round like 79. It's like, Expedition G-Force has finally been drafted.
All right, I found my base coaster draft pool. Last edited January 23. So this isn't, there's some newer things in here.
The fact that
You guys can't
Like,
see this.
aren't Guazi and Velosa in there?
Can I actually share the screen? Maybe I can. To you guys here.
In G-Force, that was
Oh God.
14 mil, I think.
All right, so right now I'm streaming on
I remember
Discord
the last,
and
like,
OBS.
it
Let's see what
was
happens.
before, like, people had like started running like Zadra, like, and not realizing like Zadra is like
Dude, these
one of the
maps we
strongest
made.
picks because people didn't know.
Yo, check out the
Oh,
maps. This is great. So Microsoft, you got Gondwana. That was awesome.
this
such an
This was
incredible way of
special.
putting it. I like how Canada, we didn't even get anything but just Canada.
Dude,
Sad
I did
that
not
they
have to do this like separate sheets thing. I could have just like made a table and like you could sort on the top, whatever it's called. I could make a much better table. It's a mess, man. But there's probably almost 1,000 coasters in here now, which is crazy. Yeah, there's over 1,000. Holy shit! Oh my god. Never mind. More like 1,500. More than that even. Good lord. Anyway, wow. We had some time growing up.
Oh yeah.
Good stuff. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, so that'd be a fun thing if people want to get back into things. All right, it's been 52 minutes. Justin has to go to work. Are we good to call it here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good note to kind of just add it on.
For sure. Yeah. Hey, if anybody wants to draft, Coaster Draft, man, let us know if there's interest. All right. Maybe we'll bring it back. For sure.
And any crazy topic ideas.
True.
I'm all
True.
for the Psycho Park draft, where it was drafting a full park, but everyone in the episode is one pick at a time. Like those type of ideas. People got them.
Yeah.
True.
All right, well, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, and I hope we can do more of these.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right.
Well,
So long.
I guess bye. Not farewell sounds a little too bad.